this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We're going to get into Cuba because I think Cuba is an interesting discussion. Top of the next hour. I know we've got a lot of Cuban listeners. But Cuba, Iran, Venezuela, they're all connected, by the way. Big baseball game happening in Miami tonight between Venezuela and the United States. Buck, I might talk about this in the third hour a bit, but the scene if Trump went to this game and threw out the first pitch from all of the Venezuelan expats and all of the pro-America fans that are going to be at this game. If you're a sports fan at all, I'm telling you, put it on tonight. This World Baseball Classic has been awesome in Buck's backyard in Miami. It's going to be an electric scene. I'm watching it tonight, going to a sports bar with a couple of buddies down here and my kids. Okay, let me hit you with this. President Trump just now with the prime minister, is it the prime minister, I think, of Ireland, answering questions from the media. And here are a lot of what he has said. Let's see. Trump, I wanted to play this. This is cut 34. Trump said years ago that you have to attack Karj Island. That is the primary deposit or departure point of Iranian oil. And he just addressed that. Again, he's been saying this for decades. So anyone out there saying, oh, the only reason Trump's doing this is Israel, cut 34. Listen.
I said you have to attack Karg Island. You have to attack them years ago when they were acting up. They've been acting up for 37, 47, I guess now 48 years. For 48 years, they've been bad players, vicious players, and you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. If they got a nuclear weapon, I would say they would have used it within 24 hours after having it. And they would have had it if we didn't bomb them out from that great raid with the B-2 bombers 8 months ago or so. You would have had a nuclear war in the Middle East and maybe beyond. I think it would have hit Europe. Maybe not Ireland, but it would have hit Europe. I think you would have been a nice piece of it. It all gets you. It's big enough that you would have been affected. They would have hit Europe.
All right. And then Trump says, we're not ready to leave yet, but we'll be leaving in the near future. Not putting an exact timetable on Iran, but letting everybody know this is not a forever war. Cut 35.
We're not ready to leave yet, but we'll be leaving in the near future. We'll be leaving in pretty much the very near future. But right now they've been decimated from every standpoint. And again, we've had great support from countries in the Middle East, great support, but we've had no support from, essentially, no support from NATO.
And then he's there with the Prime Minister of Ireland. He teed off on the current leader of the UK, England's Starmer, and he said, look, he's no Churchill, cut 33.
Well, he hasn't been supportive, and I think it's a big mistake. You know, they make a lot of money on trade with the United States. I went out of my, as you know, they couldn't make a deal with Biden because they had no real administration to make a deal, Biden. But we made a deal. We made a good deal for them, and frankly, probably wasn't appreciated. I do look forward to seeing the king. He's going to be coming, as you know, very shortly. But no, I was disappointed because Keir was willing to send 2 aircraft carriers after we won, because essentially there's no threat for the aircraft carriers right now. And I said, no, we want things sent before the war, not after the war is won. So, yeah, I'm disappointed with Keir. I like him. I think he's a nice man, but I'm disappointed.
Okay, so
you see that?
Okay, so President Trump just moments ago in the Oval Office. Buck, I think it's going to be hard to attack Trump very long on this because, to your point, if you were setting an over-under of when major operations cease in Iran, I think you said yesterday, April 1st, thereabouts.
Yep.
I would be stunned. What are we sitting at right now? The 17th? I would be stunned if a month from now we're still engaged in acts. So, look, we're talking about relatively short-lived process at this point in time.
Hopefully Trump won't end it on March 31st and then announce a full-scale ground invasion on April 1st. Psych. April Fools. That would be quite an April Fool's joke. I'm just saying. I don't think Trump will do that. But he has been known to make some jokes. So, yeah.
I'm just laughing at the stock market reaction. If we actually had Trump
my
April
Lord.
Fool's reactions, can you imagine? Like, oh my goodness.
It would be the fastest crash and the fastest rebound in the stock market we've ever seen. If he's like, we're going in heavy. We're sending in 100,000 soldiers into Iran. Just kidding. April Fools. You could see it in real time, like just completely go nuts. But I look, Trump is very clear on what the mission is here. He's going to finish this up and it will be done. And I suppose, Clay, that, the idea is there'll be a different tone of negotiation from the Iranians going forward. Like, do you guys want this kind of stuff, or do you want to, basically Trump says you got the easy way and the hard way. And the Iranians were like, hard way, because they didn't think he would do it. And he's Trump, so he did it. And now I think he'll go back to them again, and it will be, do you want the easy way or hard way part 2? And maybe, since he's taken out so much of the existing leadership, whoever is in charge going forward will say, we're willing to be a little bit more constructive in these negotiations on a whole range of things. I think that's the best possible outcome as I see it right now. I don't see anything else.
I know we talked something about yesterday about the Gayatollah, Little Mo, as I called him. Did you see the report that came out? I saw it this morning. I'm not sure initially when it came out, that they said he happened to go for a walk moments before the attack happened, which is the only reason he's still alive right now. That's the first explanation I've seen, because it has felt strange that his dad, his wife, his son, and I think his brother all died in that attack, and somehow he survived. We don't know very much about him. We don't know very much about his condition, but that is a bit strange that he managed to go for a walk at the exact moment that the attack happened. Just tossing it out there. That is the report about how he survived. Now, he may be dead, because we still have not heard him talk. We still have not seen any video of him. At a minimum, as we played for you yesterday, there have been reports that he was severely injured. But I do think anytime, look, you were in the CIA, so anytime somebody happens to go for a walk right before a major bomb goes off, a part of I'm just going to say my alarm bells go on. That's either an incredibly unbelievable coincidence, if that report is true, or maybe he had a little bit of a heads up about what might have been happening. I'm just tossing it out there. It just seems strange right before the whole place gets wiped out that you decide to go for a walk on the street. That's weird.
To borrow from our friend, the actor from The Fugitive, it's a bit hinky. It's a little hinky, yes, that you can't just know that your leader, or you can't prove that your leader is in fact fine. There is something hinky about that. Something a bit strange, a bit unusual. It's a clue.
I sent you that video after Friday. We had the guy from The Fugitive on, among many other movies that he had done. And it is kind of crazy that they actually filmed The Fugitive scene on St. Patrick's Day in Chicago live during the St. Patrick's Day parade. And there's an interview of Tommy Lee Jones as he is going through the parade. If you watch that, a lot of times I just think, hey, they just staged this. There's no way they actually filmed part of the movie during the St. Patrick's Day parade. No, they did. It's a cool video footage of The Fugitive from that day. They were filming in Chicago, and Tommy Lee Jones gets interviewed on WGN.
Tommy Lee Jones in his heyday in the 90s, fantastic. Great in that movie, great, in the early 2000s, No Country for Old Men. Just forget about his appearance in one of those really bad Batman movies. Don't even...
I forgot about that one.
Or no, he was Two-Face. He was Two-Face, right, guys? I don't even know. He was in one of those Batman movies that I'm pretty sure the studio that owns the rights to it, lit all the copies on fire, so... But Tommy Lee Jones back in the day was fantastic. Clay, you're very optimistic about all things in Iran right now.
Super. And look, I tend to be optimistic in general, but I trust Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth. I just think they've been phenomenal on most of their foreign policy. And I think if you look at how well things are going in Venezuela, and if you question how well things are going in Venezuela, you know they're going well because there's no media coverage. We have a predisposition in the United States for negative media coverage across the board. Things go poorly, they get more coverage. Things go well, they get less coverage. We just opened back up the embassy in Venezuela for the first time, I think, since 2013-ish was what I saw. And we've now raised the American flag there. I think we're going to be out of Iran quickly. I suspect that we're going to eventually figure out who we can negotiate with and deal with. I think one of the challenges in Iran right now the president's dealing with is who actually has power and who can make promises and who can engage in any sort of rapprochement as it currently exists. And Cuba, which we're going to talk about at the top of the next hour, Buck, you said it. Ordinarily, what's going on in Cuba would be a top story. I remember, 4 or 5 years ago when we first started on the program together, if I'm remembering the math correctly, there were protests in Cuba, and we talked about that as the lead story. Remember when they had the huge protests, people were waving American flags, then the Cuban government rose up and pushed back against them. That was during Biden's administration. But the fact of where we are right now with Cuba is kind of extraordinary by itself. And I think it's directly connected to Venezuela and to Iran. Here's one other thing as we go to break here to think about, Buck. Russia and China have done nothing for Iran. Remember when everybody out there was like, World War III will start. China's not going to let Iran get wiped out. Russia's not going to let Iran get wiped out. This is the weakest alliance. It's like a WWE alliance for those of you who are wrestling fans, where you look over your shoulder when you're in a tag team match and your boy is now, is now in cahoots with the other side. There was no alliance here. There is no support anywhere for Iran from any country. It's kind of extraordinary to see, just based on the way we were all told. Oh, you got to be careful. Iran's got powerful allies. Yeah, they ran, and they were not there at all. I want to tell you, Tunnel to the Towers, born on America's darkest day of 9/11. We're coming up on the 25th anniversary of 9/11. We are in the 25th anniversary year. And we've got a story here about one of America's heroes, Robert Welsh, New York City firefighter. Robert served as a police officer before his appointment to the fire department in 2001. Just weeks after the 9/11 attacks, he was on the front lines of recovery efforts. Robert dedicated nearly 2 decades of his life to protecting his community. He coached youth sports, shared a great life with his wife, Jennifer, and their 3 kids. But Robert lost his courageous battle with 9/11-related cancer, leaving behind his family. In this 25th anniversary year of 9/11, we continue to see the toll that day is still taking on heroes and their families. Tunnel to Towers honored Robert by paying the Welsh family's mortgage. Show your support, as both Buck and I have done. We love this organization. Frank Siller does an amazing job. I'm happy to be able to help them. You can join us and donate $11 a month. Amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Patriots, radio hosts, a couple of regular guys. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Second hour of Clay and Buck kicks off right now. St. Patrick's Day edition. I'd say hello to all of our Boston area listeners, but you're probably 4 Guinnesses deep already and dressed like a little leprechaun and running around the streets of Southie having a great time. So you're not listening necessarily to the show. But I'm sure the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York is going to be quite an affair. That's really the only parade, Clay, that I can think of in New York that I'm not a parade. This will surprise none of you. I'm not really a parade guy.
I'm gonna join you, Buck. This is maybe gonna surprise people. I'm very anti-parade.
I think parades existed for a time before like screens and I don't get
why parades in the 1940s were a big deal.
Right.
You never went to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade?
Definitely not. Nope, not a thing.
Well, I get why parades are good for kids. Like there's the electrical light parade at Disney World, which I would rank as number 1 on my parade list. For little kids, I think parades make sense. For adults, I don't understand the desire to watch.
I also
watch parades.
Will tell you that I lived on the route for many years, on the actual route of the Gay Pride Parade in New York City, and I saw things. I saw things in that parade that I got to tell you shouldn't be going on in parades. Just going to tell you, that's the whole other thing. A lot of nudity, a lot of crazy stuff going on. So, I'm not a parade guy. The one exception I have for parades was, I love the Scottish bagpipes. Whoops. I love the bagpipes. And you'll hear on St. Patrick's Day a lot of bagpipes going on. Now,
you and the Queen.
Apparently, I'm sorry?
You and the Queen, Elizabeth, was a huge bagpipe fan back in the day. That's how she planned.
Awesome.
When she planned her
Bagpipes get you
funeral,
fired up.
she was like, I want as many bagpipes as possible, basically.
I believe the bagpipes that you all think of when you think of the movie Braveheart are actually Irish bagpipes, and they're Scottish bagpipes. Scottish bagpipes are less, how do I put this nicely, melodic. Irish bagpipes have a little more of a melody, kind of a sweetness to them. I don't know much about this stuff, but I've just done a little digging on Braveheart, so I figured these things out. So, point being, if you're going to a St. Patrick's Day parade, have a great time, and I hope you remember some of it. And there's that. We also have over in Ireland, which is the top of my list for the next place I want to go overseas with Carrie. Our last little family trip was to Spain. Loved Spain. But I went to see the cathedrals, I went to Toledo and did all the, I love Spain is an incredible civilization, a wonderful country. Big fan. Scotland is amazing too. I went to Scotland. That was a lot of fun. Ireland, that's where my people are from. How Irish are you, by the way? Like by background. You didn't do 23andMe like every human being in this country
I did 23andMe, and I was hoping that I would be part black so I could start saying as an African American, I was entirely English and Irish. Like there was maybe a little bit of North French, because there used to be a lot of cross-pollination between, for those of you who are history nerds, between England and France across the English Channel there. And so all there.
A lot of names that we think of as Anglo or British, like Fitzgerald, it's like Fitzgerald. It actually comes from northern France. There's a lot of that. A lot of names that we think of as Anglo-Irish are actually French names that got brought over.
Supposedly the Travis name is partly connected to Travers, which is a French derivation. First of his name, I think, was around 900 in the Travis name, around 900, I think, in England. So all British, all Irish. And my mom sent me this, and I don't know about, I don't want to throw my mom under the bus here, but I will say, my mom is not always 100% accurate in the information that she shares with me from the internet. I don't know if this is a general mom
My dad
thing.
used to send me those chain letters that were if you don't forward this on, you're going to have 7 years of bad luck. And I would be like, stop it. And he's like, I can't. I don't want the bad luck.
So my mom sent me something. I don't know. You may have some knowledge on this, that green eyes are uniquely connected to the DNA from people who lived in Ireland. I don't know if this is true at all. Some of you may be super smart when it comes to eye color. She said that again, this is my mom, so I don't want to throw her under the bus, but my mom is not 100% accurate on things on the internet that she sends to me, as I'm sure maybe some of your moms and grandmas are not as well. But she sent me something yesterday in honor of St. Patrick's Day saying green eyes are incredibly rare, which is true, and that they have primarily derived from people who are of Irish descent. And so if you see someone with green eyes, hazel eyes, that is primarily connected to Ireland. And it was a cool kind of little take that she sent me that it's, to be fair, gone mega viral, I think, on Instagram. But it had me thinking about it in advance of today being St. Patrick's Day. I, like you, have not spent time in Ireland. I have been to England. I have been to Scotland. I would like to go to Ireland and actually be able to do a good visit at some point in time. I love Guinness. I have heard that one of the coolest the tours you can take if you are a fan of Guinness is they have the great Guinness factory where they produce all of this, I believe, in Dublin. I bet a bunch of you who are listening to us have been there. I am a big fan of Guinness. I'll probably have a few pints today as I watch the U.S. hopefully beat Venezuela in the WBC. But we'll
Yes,
see on the eye color argument whether my mom is correct or not on that.
According to the internet, which take that as you will, Ireland has the greatest concentration of green-eyed people and red-haired people in the country. I mean, the world.
In the world.
Per capita. In the world, yes. So,
and
there's
your
that.
son has got red hair.
He got fiery red hair. He's a little redhead. He's like, he looks like Jamie from Outlander, for those of you who are Outlander fans. He's got that fiery red hair. But Clay, unfortunately, the leadership of Ireland, when it comes to love of their country and heritage, not as fiery as some of us would want, or rather sounds a bit more like you're at a Davos lecture. Here is the Irish president using the story of St. Patrick to tell everybody, you know what we need in Ireland? More globalism and more migration from countries all over the world that have nothing to do with Ireland or have no similarity or commonality with Ireland. Play 15.
The story of Patrick's life serves as a reminder of the resilience and courage of migrants, the invaluable contributions that they have made and continue to make to the countries they now call home, sometimes even in the face of great adversity. As we recall the life of Patrick, we invoke his spirit and acknowledge our shared responsibilities as global citizens. Patrick's story invites us to respond with hospitality and kindness to those suffering the consequences of war and displacement, those fleeing their countries because of persecution or violence.
I mean, he was initially captured and as a slave from Britain, brought to Ireland to work there, and then he escaped, and then he came back later as a missionary, but he didn't show up from like Bangladesh and say, hey, I want a lot of free stuff, pay for all my things, and I don't plan to learn your language. Like, things have changed quite a bit since migration in the 5th century.
Yes. That also sounds like a guy who's playing the role of an Irish guy. Listening to that audio, it doesn't sound like a real person. It sounds like he's playing the role of an Irish guy in a movie. That's a woman? I think that's a guy. Did we just play the audio of?
It's a woman.
Oh, I thought that was a guy.
Wow.
Am I the only person?
Travis throwing
am I the
haymakers
only
here.
person who thought that was a dude? Is that sexist of me? I was like, this is kind of a soft, like not very masculine voice.
We don't know how the president of Ireland identifies, but if you're going with, is this a chick? When you look at her, it's a chick, dude.
I totally thought that was a dude.
No.
Like kind of a weak voice dude. Am I the only person that thought that was a dude? Please, other people out there listening.
You're not going to hire her for the Outkick bikini calendar, but it is a female. Yes.
I totally thought that was an effeminate dude. I was like, this sounds like somebody who's trying to be blandly inoffensive and playing a role of blandly inoffensive apologetic dude. I guess that's a masculine sounding chick in some way then. You knew 100% that was a dude, or you knew because
I knew it was a chick. It's not a dude. It's the opposite of dude.
Yeah, well, right, but you knew based on the voice.
It's not even a dude who looks like a lady. It looks like a lady. Yeah,
but we don't have video.
What do you mean? There's video.
Yes, I'm saying, but we're not watching the video, so it's a theater of the mind. I'm only hearing a voice, and I was picturing that being a man speaking.
I don't know. I think that gets you a headbutt and some Guinness thrown in your face in Dublin, buddy. So that's all I can tell you. My point here on Ireland is 20% of Ireland is now foreign born. The number in the last 10 years is going up dramatically. And the Irish leadership, they see what's gone on in places like Germany and Sweden and Belgium. And they're like, you know what we need? Some of that. And France, you know what we need? Some of that. Well, let's get some of that going on. Let's bring in as many people from other places as we can, as fast as we can, and see what happens to our culture, to our political unity and everything else. But the Irish, look, just historically, they got a big, I'm not talking about Irish Americans, which is probably about a third of this audience right now, including Clay and me. I'm talking about the actual Irish. Big shit. They love the PLO. They love Cuba. They love all the like downtrodden leftists of the world because they're right next door to Great Britain. And yeah, they've had all their beef with Britain and the IRA and everything else. But at the end of the day, they're next door to Britain. It's a pretty safe, cozy little place to be.
Do you know where all of this comes from, though? Unfortunately, people in Ireland and people in most Western civilization countries are just not having enough babies. Like, this is why, ultimately, I understand the idea of, we just want to be welcoming for everybody. The population collapsed. Japan, Italy, Ireland, I'm sure, when it comes to actual numbers of babies that Irish women are having, which, by the way, if you went back to America in the 1880s, if we had said, hey, you know what's going to be an issue one day for Ireland? They're not going to have enough kids. A lot of people would have rolled their eyes and said, yeah, the whole phrase Irish twins, which I don't know if it's offensive or not, but, it's like you're having babies so close together is called Irish twins for a reason. But the population is collapsing. I bet, here's off the top of my head, I bet the average Irish woman right now, Buck, is having, we'll look this up, I bet they're having 1.35 children on average. And so over generations, we'll look up what the number actually is.
1.5. You're close. 1.5. Okay.
So
and they're going to be in negative territory. Their population will start contracting within the next 20 years based on the current trend.
So this is why they're trying. This is the root cause. Like, they may say, we want to be welcoming and all these other things. They're importing people who are having far more children, which then becomes even more dangerous, Buck, because in the future, Ireland will be largely not Irish, which doesn't seem ideal to me.
See, this is what the frustration is, though. And by the way, we all understand, right? There's a lot of this with America too, that you have people who are overtaxed and overburdened and overregulated and have to deal with all the nonsense of the government in this country. The cost of housing has gotten completely outrageous. You have to make 100% more to qualify for the same house you would have 5 years ago. That's insane. Purely government policy driven. And we're bringing people from all over the world who go on welfare. So a lot of Americans of all colors, of all ethnicities, of all backgrounds, a lot of actual Americans, though, are saying, I can't afford to have kids. And then people show up here who don't actually contribute, have 5 kids, and go, the state's going to pay for all my kids.
Yes.
And that is happening in Europe, and it is happening here, and people are sick of it.
The number of people out there who, if you sit around and think, I can't afford to have kids, you are in the minority. People who are just, to Buck's point, who actually can't afford to have kids are the ones having kids. And a lot of people out there who are highly educated and have resources, they don't think they can afford kids. It's a major issue. And again, this is the underlying impetus under which all of this immigration is happening. I want to tell you, March Madness is here. Prize Picks will make it more fun. Whether you are in California, whether you are in Florida, whether you are in New York or Washington State, the width and breadth of the country, March Madness fever is spreading, and you can play along and have some fun. For $5, you get $50 deposited in your account when you sign up right now. PrizePicks.com, code Clay. That is PrizePicks.com, code Clay. When you play $5, have some fun with March Madness. You get $50 deposited in your account. That's PrizePicks.com, code Clay. PrizePicks.com, code CLAY.
Want to be in the know when you're on the go? The Team 47 Podcast. Trump highlights from the week. Sundays at noon Eastern in the Clay and Buck podcast feed. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. Hour number 3. We have talked a great deal on the program over the past several weeks about Iran and what the future may hold there as the American military operation continues. And we have taken a lot of calls from people of Iranian descent who live in the United States now to give us an idea of what their friends and family back in Iran are saying and what they think the appropriate outcome is here. Many different perspectives on that. We are excited to bring in now a man who has a lot of thoughts on exactly what should happen. His name is Shervin Fishvahar, an advisor to Iran Prosperity Project and venture capitalist. And let's start with this. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
What is the latest you are hearing from friends, family, connections in Iran about the on-the-ground situation and what the average person's life is like inside of that country right now?
Absolutely. This is a historic moment for all Iranians. What we're hearing on a daily basis is Iranians are cheering from the balconies as this precision liberation campaign is proceeding. In this kind of second half week, we are seeing the drones coming in and going after the Basiji militia that were responsible for killing over 43,000 Iranians on January 8th and 9th after President Trump bravely told the Iranian people to come out in the streets and protest. We'll have your back. And the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi called everyone to come out on January 8th and 9th at 8 p.m. And they were massacred. And that created a moral contract. And the Iranian people, there's many videos of them that posted videos saying this is going to be my last post. So these Iranians who sacrificed their lives for liberty have more in common with the American revolutionary fighters who fought for the creation of America and liberty here that we're so blessed to have than they do with this evil regime. So they're now cheering the Basijis being killed by these drones. And they're calling it, by the way, popcorn. The whole country is calling it that. They're watching it and cheering it. They're also playing sounds of drones from their speakers to scare the Basijis. So there's videos of Basijis running from their stations because they're hearing over the loud speakers the drone sounds from Iranian citizens who are against them. They're also reporting the Basiji locations. So in many ways, the Iranian people are unarmed soldiers in this fight for liberty. And we have a whole plan that I'll talk about. The Crown Prince's leadership has been absolutely key. The Iranian Prosperity Project is a 175-page plan that goes into detail about the reconstruction of Iran. We'll talk about that as well. But on the ground, there is a whole movement of people who are wanting their freedom, wanting a new Iran, wanting a democracy. And this plan is in the emergency phase of the plan is to have a 100-day plan to a referendum for the people to vote on a new form of government. I also want to say something. It's the Iranian Americans like myself who came to America have been so blessed by America. We would be over there right now suffering. These poor people, for 93 million of them, have been in an open air prison, an extermination camp for 47 years. And they're just as talented as we are. There's just a couple million Iranians in America who are blessed to come here. We've added up the economic impact of those Iranian Americans. It's in the trillions of dollars. People like Dara Khosrowshahi, who joined, I helped, when I was on the board of Uber and helped build Uber as well, with Travis Kalanick and Emil Michael. I helped to recruit Emil Michael, who's now the Undersecretary of War for R&D, and he's leading this whole AI war. But Iranian Americans have built companies like Uber, Google, Omid Kurdistani, eBay, have created millions of jobs in America. Just imagine 93 million of these brilliant Iranians who are trapped there, unleashing on the world. It's going to be the biggest peace and economic dividend that we've seen. The team at the Iranian Prosperity Project has estimated the economic impact just to America is over $1.2 trillion of trade in a free Iran without sanctions and in a democracy would happen between America and Iran. So the impact is going to be massive. It's very, very similar to what happened in Europe after World War II, when you had Germany, Poland, et cetera, beginning to develop. So you have basically the kind of Poland level underinvestment, Germany level industrial sophistication, and Vietnam style labor arbitrage available in a new Iran.
And Shervin, if I could ask you, thank you for being here. And Shervin is with he's an advisor rather to the Iran Prosperity Project. Where are we on getting rid of the tyrants who are already in charge? It's great to hear that people are happy about the Trump airstrikes. And I think the plan for a future Iran would be exciting, not just for people in that country, but for people all over the world because of how much could be done there. That's fantastic. But in the meantime, how do we get rid of the mullahs, the IRGC, the Basij, all of the above?
Absolutely. Look, I call it the Trump doctrine of preemption, and it's powered by AI. This is the first American AI war. The precision lethality that we're watching happen over the last couple of weeks is really stunning. I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the intelligence world and specifically about this. And the reason why this is important, if you can go 30,000 feet above just the Iran situation, which, people can be, have different views on, but above that is this reality of nuclear deterrence is actually not as important as what's happening now. We need to deter these evil regimes, these mafia states, from being able to use the very same technologies that we're all seeing, this precision lethality, these drones, this AI-powered warfare. If that gets into the hands of an Iran, if it gets into the hands of Russia, China, North Korea, our future in America is at peril. This is people don't need nuclear bombs to cause absolute mayhem. They could use AI to build new viruses that basically assassinate political leaders, take out the whole Congress and the Senate by building a virus that specifically targets the genes of individuals. So we're at the dawn of a very scary time, and this lethality, we have the advantage right now. But in 5 years, those types of drones and drone swarms could be coming on American cities, and so we have to wake up and realize we can't live in a world where you have a terror state that is continuing to try to build not just nuclear bombs, but drones, and then shipping those drones to Ukraine and Russia to help the Russians. It's a new reality. And the reason why Trump has been so visionary, as you just played, Trump was talking about this in 1988. It was prophetic. He talked about Kharg Island. He talked about taking out this regime back then. He's had this principle. This isn't Israel affecting America's policy. This is an American president who's had this vision for a long time of getting rid of these types of evil regimes that are an absolute existential threat to our American way of life and freedom. This is an immune response to a world that is full of peril if we don't start to wake up and get ahead of it. And the Iran war and liberation is the first, I think, signal. And Venezuela was important, and it was very fast. But the precision of the Iranian war is a signal of what's to come. And we have our advantage right now. We have to press it in Iran and against other regimes that are going to use these same technologies on us in the future.
A couple of questions that I'd be curious to get your read on. And we're talking to Shervin Fishvahar, incredibly successful venture capital, among many other things that he has done, venture capitalist here in the United States. What is the impact of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, all these other different places in the Middle East that used to be far smaller and less successful economically, suddenly becoming far more successful than Iran if you look at relative economic size and per capita income? And that's part one. How much does, in other words, the neighborhood of the Middle East rising up as Iran has been falling down, how understood is that inside of the country of Iran? And what do you think the percentage is of Iranians that support just the physical overthrow of the government? Not, in other words, what percentage support the existing power structure? Kind of take us into the world of the Iranian mind as you see it.
That's a great question. Basically, Jimmy Carter, a peanut farmer from Georgia, I think was the worst president in modern history. He affected the Middle East and the world and America in a way that we're all suffering from that huge mistake. The Crown Prince's father, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, was working on modernizing Iran, was way ahead of everyone else, had the fourth largest army, an economy that was booming, was modernizing Iran, and he allowed these mullahs to come in and cause absolute mayhem in the Middle East and the world. They've been our enemy using proxies. They've been the enemy of Israel, trying to destroy Israel. And we've been living in a new reality since 1979 for 47 years. And the poor Iranians have been the ones that have been to have to suffer the brunt of it. But many others have also suffered. Those countries in the Middle East, to their credit, have advanced in the last 25 years. I was in Dubai in 2001, 2002, and there was a smattering of buildings. These are basically nation states that have accelerated in the same way that America in the 1950s, after World War II, we spent unbelievable amounts of our GDP modernizing America and advancing our economy after World War II, built the interstate highway, and all of the defense capabilities. And then also, if you look at putting a man on the moon in the 1950s, those moon shots, that was like $250 billion of investment in those dollars back then. There was a significant, the courage it took to invest that kind of capital paid dividends for all of our lives. We're all beneficiaries of that. The Middle East learned from that, and they've invested billions of dollars in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE, and have advanced, far ahead. Now, the reality is, everyone thought that no one expected, as President Trump said yesterday, they didn't expect to be attacked. They weren't attacking Iran, but 14 nations got attacked by the Iranians. That shows the insanity of this cult mafia state, the Shia Islamic mafia state that is like a cult, that is a terror organization that's taken over a nation state. Their insanity is to then attack 14 countries. And so we're in a completely new Middle East. Everything has changed. The countries that didn't sign the Abraham Accords are going to rush to sign it because you know why? They want the Iron Dome technology. They want to be able to shoot down missiles with lasers. So this kind of new reality is going to reshape the Middle East and our world in a way that is advantageous to America's national security. And one thing I wrote when I went to Berkeley years ago is in college is our moral security presages our physical security. If we don't actually take care of these principles and make sure we protect them, then our physical security will be at risk, like what happened in 9/11, like what's happened on 10/7, like what would have happened if we had allowed this regime to continue. Larijani was killed. The news broke out this morning. Larijani was one of the most evil but highly competent operators in the Islamic regime. Taking him out was a big, big deal. Taking out the Supreme Leader Khamenei, who tried to kill my father, who worked for the Shah, was head of radio and television, because he was helping people escape from the country during the revolution. This is all, full circle. These are very evil people. No one should weep for them. The hunters have become the hunted, and AI is what has allowed us to be able to do this.
Shervin Fishavar, advisor to Iran Prosperity Project. Shervin, appreciate your expertise, your insights on this, sir. And let's all say a prayer for the Iranian people and hope that this goes to the place we're all hoping it goes to. Thank you, sir.
We all appreciate the prayers. Thank you.
There's a network of clinics nationwide that exists solely to protect the lives of unborn babies. For 20 plus years now, they've welcomed pregnant mothers in crisis, trying to determine the fate of their baby's life and their own in many ways. At preborn network clinics, that expectant mother walks to the door and she receives compassion, no pressure. She receives clarity. She receives that godly connection with the baby inside of her womb. And this whole process begins with the ultrasound experience that preborn gives to expectant mothers. And more than 80% of the time, when that mom sees her baby on a preborn ultrasound, she chooses life. This March, Preborn is attempting to save the lives of 6,800 babies, but it will take thousands of people this month to say yes to this ask. Pause your busy day for just a moment. Consider saying yes to a gift of just $28. That's the cost of one ultrasound. $140 would help 5 mothers. To donate, use your cell phone and dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250. Say the word baby or go to preborn.com/buck. Preborn.com/BUCK. Sponsored by Preborn.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Mic drops that never sounded so good. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us. We are joined now by Lieutenant Colonel Clay Fuller, former district attorney, the Republican nominee for Georgia 14. That is Marjorie Taylor Greene's former district. Clay, great name. We appreciate you joining the show. What should people out there know as Georgia is going to emerge as a major battleground, Senate, governors, but also your seat? What do people need to know about this going forward?
Yeah, first off, there's a Democrat in the race. This has gone to a runoff, and the person that we're up against for April 7th is a Democrat. He's done a really good job of running a race of not defining himself with any policy positions or with any party. So our job now is to let the voters of Georgia 14 know that there is a Democrat in the race that does not represent Northwest Georgia values. And so we're getting out there and telling the voters about my background. And obviously we've been supported by President Trump. So making sure people understand that they've got a choice between a MAGA conservative that's supported by President Trump or a radical or the radical left.
Lieutenant Colonel, thanks for being here. Let's just get to it on what do you think about the situation in the Middle East right now with Iran? What's your view of it?
Yeah, so I fully support President Trump decimating the Iranian military and all of their capabilities. Obviously, they're the number one state sponsor of terror in the region. And, one of the mentors that I've had in my career is General Dan Raisin Kane. And he said it's very important that there can be no power projection at any point from the Iranian regime. So I fully support President Trump and what he's done in the Middle East and making sure that the Iranian regime cannot threaten the United States or our neighbors.
You mentioned the race is on April 7th. I imagine the biggest challenge right now is just making people aware that the race is going on, right? We just had the same issue with a seat to fill in my home district in the state of Tennessee. And Democrats try to steal in, and they take advantage of the fact that Democrat voters tend to be very motivated on these special elections. And a lot of times Republicans are just busy and don't necessarily know. So is your biggest battle, given the district right now, just making people aware because it's a non-traditional time to be voting that they need to get out and get their ballots counted?
That's exactly it. Job number one for us is getting out the vote. Obviously, it's a difficult time period because April 7th is right after Easter. Normally, we'd have 5 days of early voting, but that goes up to Good Friday. And so we're trying to make sure that voters understand that they need to get back out after the March 10th primary, vote in the runoff here, and they need to make a plan. The other challenge that we have in a number of counties in the southern part of the district, they have spring break over that week of April 7th. So we really are trying to get that message out to every voter across the district. Please make your plan because we cannot take this for granted. It would be a tragedy for Georgia 14 if a Democrat won the seat. It would be a tragedy for the MAGA movement and for President Trump. So we have to stay motivated because the Democrats are going to do it. The radical left is going to come out, and we just have to make sure that we're driving out our voters on April 7th.
If I could ask you, Lieutenant Colonel, I know you're focused on your race as you should be, and everyone listening, and especially everyone who lives in your district, is paying close attention to that. But you've also got some important things happening on the Senate side in your state. Just what can you tell us about the political trajectory right now in Georgia? Where do they stand vis-a-vis the administration? Are things looking better for Republicans since 2024, about the same? How would you, because you're obviously very plugged into the numbers and the sentiment, what's the feel? What's the vibe right now politically in Georgia?
Yeah, unfortunately, Georgia is going to be the belle of the ball for every election, it seems like, coming up. But I think the momentum's on our side. And I think you saw what we did from an organizing standpoint in 2024 to make sure that we are driving out the vote. And also the really important thing, which has been a change not only in Georgia 14, but across the state on the right, is trying to tell voters early voting is okay. Obviously, normally we do so well on election day, but if we can get out there and bank those votes early, because I don't know if you know much about Georgia weather. Last week we were at 70 degrees, and then just yesterday we had snow. And so you never know what the weather is going to be like here in Georgia in the spring. So if you got time to go and early vote, go and make that decision and knock it out. And if we do that, continue to drive out the vote, because President Trump's policies are resonating in Georgia. The victory is there. The win is there to send a conservative to the U.S. Senate. We just have to make sure that we're getting out our voters when we make that choice.
So April 7th, we want to make sure everybody listening in North Georgia gets out and votes, but then you'll be back on the ballot in November. How does this work? I presume this is to fill out the remaining term of Marjorie Taylor Greene. So basically you're going to be running for the rest of this year. Am I right?
That's right, Clay. I'm in endless campaign season for the rest of my life, it seems like. So with the way that Marjorie stepped down, it created a special election. And in Georgia, that's a jungle primary. So that's why the top two vote getters in the March 10th primary, one is a Democrat. So then that runoff for the special election, which will be to fill the rest of Marjorie Greene's seat until the end of December of 2026. That's April 7th. And then there will be another primary on May 19th. Obviously, we're hoping to be in that primary as the incumbent. And then there will be the general election in November of this year. So we've got elections coming up. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, May 19th, you mentioned. Okay, so I want everybody to go vote for Clay Fuller. Easy name to remember here if you listen to this show. On April 7th, I want you guys to go get the vote for him. But then May 19th, almost immediately, we're flipping. We've got a hugely competitive Republican ticket and Democrat ticket, as Buck mentioned, in a state that is very much the center battleground state. What is the expectation for turnout in that primary? I know you got a contested decision on who the governor should be and the nominee for Republicans and Democrats as well, but also the Senate race. I mean, the amount of money that's going to be spent in Georgia is going to be off the charts.
It really is. And the big concern for me in my race is making sure we don't hit voter fatigue. But we know voters in Georgia 14 and across the state of Georgia care about who's going to lead them. They care about the policies of getting regulations off their back, taxes off their back. They just want it to be the free state of Georgia. So they're going to be very concerned about getting the right people in there. And I think they're going to be voting red both in May and then in November as well. So I think we're not going to have a problem as long as we continue to turn out the voters.
All right, Clay Fuller is his name. Everybody in Georgia 14, I believe, is correct, right? April 7th, we need you to get out and vote for Clay Fuller, and then you can show back up after he wins on April 7th with all of your support and vote for him again the next month in the primary, and all of you should be engaged in voting in this Georgia primary that is coming up because there's a lot of big decisions to make there too. Clay, we appreciate the time, and we want everybody listening right now to make sure that they're aware again that date, April 7th. If they want to help, what can they do?
Go to clayfullerforgeorgia.com. We can always use donations. And then just if you know anybody that lives in Northwest Georgia, just make sure that they're aware to get out there and vote. And you're going to have a number of opportunities to support a Clay outside of the show.
There you go. Clay Fuller, April 7th. Get the vote in. We appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Again, that is a soon-to-be decision to fill out Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, and then there will be additional election in what is going to be one of the ultimate battlegrounds. So we make sure you guys are on top of that. April 7th will be here very soon. Look, if the roof of your house is not the most protective part of your home, it is right up there with the windows and the doors. A roof gets as much of a workout, as you know, as any part of your house, but you might not necessarily always know when it needs all the maintenance and help. That's why Erie Home is trying to take advantage of the challenges there by giving you something that makes a ton of sense. They'll inspect your roof for any problem free of charge. They have a 25-point inspection. And if your roof needs replacement, Erie Home offers all kinds of options, including newer metal materials made to mimic the look of the roof you have now, but that will last much longer. In fact, they can last 2 to 3 times longer than traditional shingle roofs. Your new roof from Erie Home, in fact, comes with a 50-year transferable warranty. So if you sell the home, you're providing even more value in the selling process. Schedule your free inspection at eriehome.com/clay today and get a discount off the installation price. That's ERIE home.com/clay. Discount $1,200. It's a big difference. Valid on new roofing installations. Minimum purchase required. Get hooked up today at eriehome.com/clay. That's ERIE home.com/clay.
Keep up with the biggest political comeback in world history on the Team 47 podcast. Clay and Buck highlight Trump replays from the week. Sundays at noon Eastern. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.